Hi, welcome back to Corbit. This is a space between who you are and who you are becoming. The whole idea of Corbit and why it exists is to find a space and orbit back to yourself and become who you always wanted to be in your own divine timing. I want you to be present for a second, not thinking about everything that is happening at the moment, but just being here, taking a breath and slow down, be present in the moment. Do you know that feeling when you are there, but not fully there? And maybe you've asked yourself this before, and the answer sometimes isn't dramatic, is because you don't know what the answer is, but you also don't know exactly what to do. And you don't feel yourself. But I just wanted to remind you that you didn't break, you just slowly started living outside of yourself. And sometimes it happens very slowly, and it happens when you actually start to keep saying yes when you need the space, or you start thinking about your future but you don't know exactly what that looks like yet. So you lose yourself, and this happens when you start choosing what's expected of you rather than what aligns truly with who you are. And over time you don't even realize that this is happening. So what happens? You lost yourself. Healing comes from the inside out. You start fixing yourself, and it's not even about becoming a better version of yourself. It's just about coming back to who you are and who you've always been, back to your body, back to your throat, back to being present and just breathing and just remembering who you are, because that essence never left. It just got quieter under everything else that you're thinking through and your stream of thoughts. And ask yourself, how do I fix it? If you don't have an answer yet, I promise that's okay, because as I always say, everything happens for you. Where did you stop listening to yourself? Not in a harsh way and not in a blaming way, but just forgetting who you are. You forgot that creativity exists and life is meant to be lived between the stresses and laughter and anxieties and not knowing exactly what the answer is, because we don't have the time. And when you start becoming more aware, you start realizing that life is meant for you and everything happens for you. Everything happens for a reason. You know that we always say this. So if you don't have an answer yet, yes, you might have a plan, but you don't know exactly what will happen. That's completely fine. You just need to remember that you can orbit back to yourself again and again and just understand, maybe, what do I need? Maybe it's rest, maybe it's movement, silence, maybe it's inspiration. I need to get back to that creative life that I had before. And when I'm talking about creativity, I'm not talking about actual painting and all that. It's just expression of who you are and how you choose to live your life and how you choose to stay within those moments where you actually choose yourself again and again and again and again, because you forgot that being present is exactly what life is supposed to be. And no matter what happens to you, negative or positive, you always learn from the situation, and maybe you feel lost at the moment. And that's where Corbit comes and reminds you and creates that awareness of, you are okay if you're feeling this discomfort at the moment in time, but that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. That's a sign that perhaps you are reconnecting with who you are and just orbiting back to yourself again and again. We create a space for all of this discomfort and all of these feelings in a way that you are not abandoning yourself and you are choosing the truth over all of that silence, and where you actually trust yourself becoming. And the more you do this, the more you create that awareness, the more energy starts to shift and creativity comes back to your life, and you feel lighter and more you. You actually feel clearer. And you remember that there are more important things in life, and all of that external perspective changes too. You start attracting things that actually aligns with who you are. You start noticing what drains you and what energizes you and what makes you feel alive. Instead of, ignoring it, you start to respond to it, and that's absolute power. And if you are listening to me at this moment, you already took the first step. That's self-respect. That's alignment. That's divine timing, accepting that everything happens for a reason. You have your decisions to make. You take the leap, you have a plan, but everything happens for you, and you start believing that, and you start to feel alive, and you start to become more who you are meant to be, and you already have it within you. It's just, you need to remember that you can orbit back to yourself. The way you speak, the way you treat yourself, the way you spend your own time creates the life that you are living now. So treat yourself right and orbit back to yourself. Listen to yourself. Be present with your body, with who you are. Heal from the inside out. Be healthy inside and out. And you're finally living with yourself, with a version of you that is exactly who you are. Remember that you already have it within you. That version of you, the highest version of you, is already within you. You just need to remember that and orbit back to that. Have it all figured out. As I always say, everything happens for a reason. You don't need to have all the answers, but you need to start becoming aware of what your body tells you, what your health tells you, and come back to your breath and be present and do simple things that makes you feel alive and makes you feel good. And if you don't have the time, that's fine. You will always have the time to breathe and to come back to your truth and to choose what's right for you and to believe in the divine timing, because everything you're looking for, that clarity, that energy, even if it doesn't feel like it at the moment, maybe you are lost at the moment, trust me, it's already within you and waiting for your attention, waiting for that present, waiting for you to choose it. So I just wanted to remind you maybe that today, just one small thing that makes you feel yourself, just something real, something that might be enough. It could be just breathing, or this becomes healing. Just wanting you to remember that that person is already there. You're just maybe becoming more her. When I created Pink Corbit is because I realized at some point that maybe I drifted from my voice, from the version of me that probably didn't know exactly what the future holds all at once. And maybe you felt that too. And life becomes something you are managing instead of something that you connect with. And it's almost like you are ticking boxes and just showing up, doing what's expected, something that it's inside of you, but you're just tired and not there. So the reason I created Pink Corbit as a return to yourself, to myself. Life is something that you are meant to live and feel alive within, not something you're meant to survive. So all of the highs, all of the confusion, the expansion, the in-between, all of it is part of Pink Corbit. Everything you're feeling is exactly the moment between who you are now and who you are becoming. And if you are in the between, I'm telling you, it's fine. Everything comes in divine timing. Everything happens for a reason. Everything will be fine. You are just meant to orbit back to yourself. Remember that life is meant to be lived. And even moments, where nothing makes even sense, even the pauses, the endings, the redirections, that whatever is happening in your life at the moment is not a punishment, but it's a recalibration. It's meant for you because it makes you understand what exactly you want. And again, you don't need to become someone new, but you have already that person within you. You just need to orbit back to her. The version of you that you dream about, the one who feels grounded and at peace, aligned, already exists within you, and that's beautiful. You just need to remember that you don't need to have a perfect plan. Maybe you plan it, but maybe it doesn't happen. And it's absolutely fine as long as you orbit back to yourself and you create. Life is meant to be lived. And then you breathe and you have stresses and anxieties and then you're happy. And it's absolutely fine to go through whatever you're going to, even if it sounds and it is unfair. As long as you understand what orbiting back to yourself means. And again, it's not about, fixing everything overnight. It's not about forcing growth or chasing timelines, but it's about returning gently and slowly, understanding who you are, even if you don't have the answers yet. Just returning to your body, to your intuition, to what feels true for you, and not what looks right for others. It's basically living life, and it's letting yourself feel the joy without needing a reason. And you can rest without the guilt. You can desire without the fear. There are so many beautiful things that you can do in life, but not everything is perfect. And being Corbit is your space to come back to that. And I think it's beautiful because when I realized that, things changed. I became more aware. And you start to soften, to realign, to reconnect. So if you feel like you've lost your spark, or you are in between versions, or you're quietly asking, what's more than this? I want more. What even am I meant to do? And you don't know the answers. You don't need to become anything. You just need to come back to who you are and orbit back to yourself. Realign with who you are and be the most beautiful, sensual, feminine, masculine, energetic, creative part of yourself. And then you will start attracting what's exactly aligned with who you are. So remember that life is meant to be lived. Be present, breathe, or be back to yourself again and again, because that's what life is supposed to be. The rest is all history. Everything will come when you are ready for it. So if you feel lost at this moment, pause or be back to who you are. Create. Be the best version of you. Give yourself time, but everything will be fine.